It's like some serious level back. Okay. So, hi guys. Welcome to the ThinkShack, where we explore memes to the extremes. You might never know this, so I'm telling you this. This is like probably like our 15th take.
You're gonna get to hear the behind the scenes, the crazy stuff that happens.
Or not, because a lot of that stuff isn't kosher.
But we want to start off by acknowledging some of you new listeners out there. We've seen a lot of engagement. We went viral by our definition, which is like 100 views.
We got like 100 likes. And I mean, for other people, it's like, oh, I got 5K likes on my post. But we got 100 likes on our Instagram video. And I had a sleepless night just based off of that.
This is kind of like an appeal. Like, if you feel sorry for us for calling that viral, you know what you do. Go ahead and like get us some more views, and then we'll stop being poor kids.
Give us a reason to, look back at our old selves and cringe.
It's like someone telling you like, oh, 100 bob is a lot of money, and then you're like, oh, I feel so bad for this guy.
Here, take 1,000 bob. Now you know what a lot of money is. Like, oh my god, thank you, you really educated me. As it takes 1,000 shit.
But we're actually learning some things from you, from the comments, so keep engaging, because we learned that from the Java story that Mabati is actually what they call like the type of that
so for those who don't know, if you scoop over to our Instagram, and I don't know when the hell you're listening to this, so you might have to scroll down, and that's going to be a terrible experience because all the freaking covers to the videos look exactly the same, so you don't even know what video.
That, actually.
It's about like the 5th video or something, but like we talk about Jabba the drug, and we were talking about like how the soft leaves are better because like the hard large ones cut you up. And then someone came into the comments, like one was like Muluzia Mabati.
It was like a couple of people actually was like Mabati. Like, oh, okay, that's what they call it.
That's what they call the hard ones.
Jabba connoisseurs in the comments. Like, Team Jabba.
I just casually like floated the idea we should start a Jabba club, and everyone was like, yeah, I'm in for that.
An American dance we called the Jabberwockies.
We need to call ourselves the Jabberwockies.
So welcome to our listeners, including the Jabberwockies.
So starting the podcast officially, because we've just been shooting the shit. We've been doing this thing every week where we sample a new kind of liquor or brand of liquor.
And the way we're able to do that is with this very nice website called Oaks and Corks. Oaks.delivery.com. I think there's not .com.
.app. No. It's oaks.delivery.app.
Really?
Actually, it's oaks.delivery.
So you might be wondering, what's the difference between that and a regular wine display? The reason we went with it is because they have so much variety, like different places.
Actually, it's oaks.delivery.
Oaks.delivery.
Yeah,
so different liquors and beers and stuff from like different countries. They have South Africa, Canada, Ireland.
Right now, we're trying a Ukrainian brandy called Shustoff or Shustoff.
Depending on how you pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Kishash Gwabash. And Beefeater pink strawberry.
We are not connoisseurs by any stretch of the imagination, so we're not gonna pretend to be like it has fine notes of licorice.
Yeah, but at the risk,
let's actually try and do it. Like, it smells like cigarettes. And
so we're trying Shustoff right now. Yeah, right.
We can try and describe the taste.
It has a weird woody aroma to it.
ASMR. I'm trying to open the report. So I know some of you guys are moaning.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, he's opening it. It's bursting open.
It's gonna be an extra bit. Yeah, so here we go. This is Shustoff.
So Jean right now, we don't have a video. Sorry,
established in 1863.
Jean is taking a shot glass and is holding Shustoff brandy in his hand, and he's about to pour it in.
For deaf people. Like, he's doing the thing. It's like DJ Afro.
Yeah.
For tasting alcohol.
He's about to commit suicide.
So established in 1863. How many things do you think were established in 1863?
Colonialism for starters.
How true do you think it is that these things were actually established on day to day? Or is it just because people like older things, dry aged brandy, matured?
I think there's something to it. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for every single company out there claiming establishment in some time in antiquity. But like, establishment is about the company. Like, yeah, sure, your great grandfather started making craft beer in his like bedroom, like,
because he was a lonely virgin.
Exactly. And you could like genuinely say it was established in 1863 when the actual company was maybe incorporated in like 1970 after years and years of making shit in that bedroom.
Slavery and everything. Like, your grandfather got whipped.
I mean, chances are there are no African companies, and I think this is a whole conversation to have. There are no African companies started before in Africa before a certain year, simply because during those times only Europeans were probably allowed to start like public or
Start
private
companies.
limited companies.
This is why this is the ThinkShack. Ideas just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, we think about this. We're gonna like try and Google it. I think this is like a good time. We should probably try to incorporate ChatGPT into these, or at least like Google, where like you try to Google.
If you've seen the other shows, you guys should really head over to our Instagram and then check those out.
Yeah,
a lot of funny segments.
so
and bits.
the Google's phrase would be: were any African companies
established
before let's say
the
1900, yeah, and that's like literally the search phrase.
Someone's gonna come up with some racist answer like, yes, you had grass skirts.
No, I mean like the first answer that comes is from encyclopedia.com. It's like after 1600, large chartered companies like the Dutch West India Company or the Royal African Company, which FYI had probably no Africans in the management, and the Portuguese Guinea Company created permanent like like companies. But like there are no like there's the Royal Niger Company, which probably took over the Niger Delta.
The Royal Niger Company was actually Unilever. That's what they used to call it.
Exactly. And even in Kenya, before Kenya became a protectorate to the British, I'm sure it was under like the mandate of some British company, because like we had like a lot of privatization happening in like colonizer countries where they would give these territories to public limited companies, like the Dutch East India Company. The Dutch West India Company was in charge of the Caribbean. The Dutch East India Company was in charge of like Indian relative territories. There were like other companies that were in charge of, like the British and so on, that were in charge of like African territories. And it was mostly company proprietary before it became like British protectorate. And then after that, British colony.
There is a lot to go into, and we don't want to make this a history lesson. We're actually just sampling alcohol.
So probably there's no single like African like formal African liquor company that was started, say, before the 1900s. I mean, we should have like things like Muratina and Chang'aa and Busa, which were probably like, and also Mvinyo in the coast, which were like probably like brewed before that. But
we didn't have formal business structures, or at least
we did not. This was a purely European construct. And it's important to make like these distinctions, because they're things that are distinctly African, they're things that are distinctly European. And you kind of like start to see them when you look at like the modern African culture. So for example, Africa was deeply communal, and it was about like having like a council of elders and like a sense of socialism. Agreements. But like the whole capitalism or the concept behind like public limited companies was a very European concept. And so you had no African companies doing that.
Before we get carried away, I want to just drop this final thought about like established companies before, like in the early 1900s. We're probably drinking something that had a lot of slave labor incorporated into the production and everything.
Right. I mean, in the present or historically, because like if it was established in 1863, I bet, like in terms of like the raw materials and what have you, there was some slave plantations being employed. But what about today? Would you say that a lot of like international liquor companies, especially when they're harvesting their potatoes or whatever they put behind their liquor, I'm sorry for cursing, would have employed some kind of modern slave labor into their production processes?
I mean, if it's on a plantation, probably had a slave to do with it, But this was Shustoff brandy from Ukraine. I wonder if the war in Ukraine is still going on.
The war in Ukraine. Okay.
Does this taste like struggle and pain?
I mean, the Ukrainians are incredible. I was looking at like something on Instagram just today and was like looking at pictures or reconstructions of the face of like people from different regions of the world, like India, Africa.
So the Ukrainians had very hard faces.
They had very square jaws. Like these were like freaking masculine visages. Yeah. And like we have like a whole president in the Ukraine who's leading the freaking resistance.
If I was Russia, I would feel intimidated. I would definitely be attacked as well. Because you have these people looking at you with stone faces. You're like, no, right. I don't like the way you're looking at me, bro. Let me just lead an invasion into the country.
Right. So as it is, the war in Ukraine still continues today. It's really a matter of a very large country, aka Russia, trying to bully a very small country, aka Ukraine, into submission. Of course, there are like greater games at play, like for example, the fact that Ukraine may have joined NATO, the the North Atlantic Trade Organization or something. And the idea behind it was that if you have like Eastern and Western powers like Russia and the United States, then you don't want any major trade alliances like coming to your doorstep. So Russia was pretty uncomfortable with Ukraine, which literally on its doorstep, joining the NATO.
When this thing came up, I had a very interesting question, and it's a scary thought for many Africans, I imagine, because you think about like this is a bigger country trying to bully a smaller one. Now, if they decided to attack Africa with all their nuclear power and everything, it would be fucked. Like literally, say goodbye to your wife. She's gonna go be some Ukrainian or Russian guys. Like if a superpower decided to attack African countries, basically, what I'm trying to say is we're existing because of the mercies of Western powers, literally, because they have some use for us. And obviously, there's like the UN. What are they called? The global, those things that govern like diplomacy and international relations.
Right, like international governing bodies like the UN or the UNHCR.
But
or
apart from that, the reason we can make this podcast is because some Russian hasn't decided to attack us.
That said, I would like to take the other side of the argument and just say that being a superior nuclear power does not necessarily imply that you will use your nuclear weapons in combat. So, for example, but then again, like there's this promise of mutual destruction between nuclear superpowers that prevents any particular nuclear superpower from using its weapons. So, Russia is a nuclear superpower, but it hasn't yet used any single nuclear bomb on the Ukraine, simply because if it did that, there is the potential for escalation with like NATO and NATO related countries. So Russia has to use quote unquote conventional warfare tools. Exactly. So even if they were ever to attack Africa or a country in Africa, I feel like the rules would still be the same.
It's crazy how the world is really hanging by a thread. By the fact
that every single moment.
If Russia or even the US had decided to throw a nuke, that could have been World War III. And then the impact of nukes is like, we've all been wiped out. We're just having fun eating bananas on the street.
Exactly.
Like doing
hitting on that girl you like in the neighborhood. Like, yo, you want me to take you out tonight? Boom.
It's only that we can't do memes after that, but it's like, bro, I was just chilling. Why am I like, go fight yourself?
I don't know why for me the image is like literally, like because like if a nuclear bomb falls, you can see the mushroom cloud expanding, right? And you can see it literally fucking coming to you, and the girl then says to you just before it hits you, manze tunakufa na vile ningekupea. Oh my god. I'm like, no, could you pause? I need to claim my freaking prize right now before this happens.
No, but you do whatever you need to do. Be very quick.
That would be the quickest quickie.
That would be
in the history of quickies.
The premature ejaculators would shine.
Premature ejaculators
would be like, it's the end of the world.
All they have to do is take off their pants.
Like, at least I came, I saw, I conquered.
I posted that meme today, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Like Julius Caesar going to Gale to conquer is like Veni Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. Then he goes to Egypt and sees Cleopatra.
I saw and I came.
I saw, I came. Period. That's every premature ejaculator's anthem. But anyway, like coming back to the liquor we're drinking, this is Ukrainian brandy called Shustoff. And now we can properly start the podcast. I think the word in
Ukraine is Shustoff.
Shustoff?
It doesn't Shustoff, but yeah, there you go. That's a part right
We need to trademark that. That should go on a t-shirt.
Maybe that's
like literally our favorite phrase.
Like Morse code is like, it's Shustoff.
Shustoff. We are tired. This war.
But here's the crazy part about this Shustoff. It came with an extra add-on that we weren't expecting.
It came with a freaking adapter.
So like, what kind of beer comes with a charger? We're like, okay, in case you black out when you have a sip, it's for charging.
Yeah, so like we have like a MacBook, and you know that the MacBook comes with like those plugs that require like special ports and shit. So we just like attach the adapter to the MacBook charger, and now I can charge the MacBook very easily. But apart from that, when we first received it, we thought like this was supposed to charge the alcohol in some way.
So what else did we have today? We also have something that you might be familiar with, the Beefeater Pink. I don't know how you guys feel about drinking flavored gin. I don't think it's.
I think Beefeater Pink is a pretty decent flavored gin.
It's an amazing gin. Some guys probably wouldn't drink it at the club because like, oh, it's pink. But like, if your masculinity depends on that, like, bro, you have.
Your masculinity is pretty fragile. Like, it's literally a freaking tightrope.
So you can only drink black stuff. Like, what are you drinking? Keg.
Or poison.
It's
like, let's go all the way, bro. Like, if you really want to be toxically masculine.
If you think about the color of alcohol and stuff, like whiskey, for example, it's kind of feminine, the color itself. What would you call it? Amber. Is this amber?
It's amber. It's honey brown or something.
Would you? Like, if you're a man, right?
I would, but like, I imagine if I was so concerned about my masculinity, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. So the Beefeater versus Shustoff. What do you think? What would you rate?
I mean, it's gin versus brandy. It's apples and oranges. It's not a fair fight.
But we could have like it's almost like a showdown, and I don't know if you guys could let us know like what you think about that.
Well, I love
2 each week, and then we compare like we see which one is better. Like if you're
okay, so for this week, I love a pink Beefeater, whatever Beefeater pink, simply because it's the smoothest flavored gin I've ever tasted.
Beefeater must be an offensive brand to vegans. They're like, why would
exactly, Beefeater. Look, I will not drink that.
I will not drink that.
And then you give them a bit of Beefeater pink. It's like, okay, maybe it's just like vegan beef.
Vegetable eater. I want mboga eater.
I'm pretty sure if you go to a supermarket, you find vegan beef or something of the kind.
They should add something that says cruelty free. But here's the thing: we ordered 2, and then one of them says.
What if it's actually made from cows? Like cow liquor. Like, have you ever got liquor that's made from like some kind of meat?
He looks like he's eaten some beef in his life.
And more?
He probably looks like he's done more with the beef. The way he's walking.
He's beaten his meat.
Fucker.
He's beaten. Like beat your meat.
Just fucked the cow.
He looks like a meat beater.
He's a meat beater. Oh shit!
You know how when you wear a specific kind of vest, it's called a wife beater?
The beef beater. What? What did you call it again?
A wife beater. So there's certain outfits that you look at, you're like, you're definitely a meat beater.
He's carrying a spear. He's carrying a spear. He's like, I'm about to go eat some beef.
Yeah, and for some weird reason, I'm gonna flavor it strawberry.
And he's dressed in red. He's like walking in the forest. He's the least manly. It's like William Lawson's take this angle where they put a man in a kilt.
Yeah, it's like in a skirt, and you're like, this nigga probably isn't wearing any underwear. I don't know why. Every time I see a freaking picture like on a brand, like Johnny Walker jacket, like, are you really wearing any underwear? Because like Johnny Walker is just like, well, walking.
But Johnny Walker actually looks like he's wearing Pampers. You know those pants that you wear, like the ones for.
Because he has such baggy.
He's like a fat ass. Fat ass Johnny Walker.
Johnny Plumper.
Johnny Walker is probably thicker than most people's. Johnny Plumper.
Johnny Applebutt.
Johnny Applebutt. Oh shit. Oh my goodness. He's doing more than walking. What kind of walking is he doing to get that ass that big? Like, he must be doing. This is Johnny Squatter.
Walking back to the conversation.
Oh, yeah. So before we finish that up, like literally, we bought 2 of them. One of them is imported, and the other one is local. So the local.
They're supposed to both be 750 ml, but one bottle is clearly larger.
Like what?
One bottle says imported. The other one, well, doesn't say anything.
This one says maybe it's invisible. I don't know.
It might be imported. Like, your best guess,
just
bro.
Put the label on there, even if it's imported from Murano or somewhere. Like to us.
Because importation, like, bro, we can play around with this. You could have imported it from another county. I'll forgive you. But this is like, bro, we may have imported it, we may have not. Let's talk about the filter. Like, one of them has a freaking filter, the other one doesn't. I was having this liquor with my girlfriend last night, and she poured it, like, you know, like, she literally put it in 90 degrees.
She thought there's going to be a filter.
And she emptied the bottle.
No wonder it finished so quickly. This might be the Drink Shack.
The Drink Shack.
We could call one of our segments the Drink Shack. Drink Shack.
And then when we're just talking about shit with the Shit Shack.
Yeah, we were talking about like shit. Like, so many crazy names come from this. We had the Coco app.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're an investor, like, go ahead and make these things true.
Please,
like,
we have brilliant ideas. We're not even gonna copyright them.
We're not gonna come after you. Maybe we might if you get too successful. It depends. Like, if you like it.
And we have the evidence because we recorded this and we are uploading
it. What would a meat beater shirt look like?
We should make that. Maybe remember when we were saying we should start like a t-shirt business?
Let us know if you guys would want to buy t-shirts from us. You see the way a wife beater
like meat beater.
It's like a V-neck or something.
Yeah. It has to be in the exact same font.
Okay.
And designed as Beefeater, but it says meat beater.
And that's like a guy beating his dick instead of making his spear.
And then you should say like London. Like
in London.
Like
I beat my meat in London. I'm holding a spear for no reason. It's a spear, but it's not the kind of thing.
It's symbolic. It's my dick.
It's my dick. Pierce your wife. Anyways, let's get back to our horses.
Getting back to our horses. So we had like a whole thing happening this time where Senator Gloria Orwoba was thrown out of Senate for showing up with stained clothes, but then she later claimed she was on her period. And there's a whole argument surrounding this where the argument is that condoms should be sold and pads should be given for free. And the argument is that sex is a choice, but menstruation isn't. And young girls without money are suffering out there.
Is sex really a choice? I think we must have sex.
That would explain rape. I know we try to.
There's always gonna be rape in an episode.
There's gotta be a rape conversation somewhere. But like, while we do not condone rape at all, the truth is that
unless it's consensual.
Yeah, it's not. If it's consensual, by definition, it's not.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Like by definition, rape is non-consensual penetration, right?
But if
like
you
forced
someone,
penetration.
they can't give you their consent, right?
Maybe it's written in a contract beforehand. Like, have you watched 50 Shades of Grey? Like, you guys can like totally agree, and you even have a safe word. Like, I guess when you're talking, the safe word could be orange, but when you're not talking, the safe word could be like, I don't know, fart or something.
Avocado.
But like, you know, like if she farts, like it's a specific flavor. It's like, oh yeah, God, she wants me to let her go.
Anyway, so sex is a choice, and menstruation is not.
Now, this is a very good argument, and I agree with it because, like, women do not choose to menstruate, while, of course, women and men totally choose to have sex. Because I have seen people who have gone for sex without sex their whole lives, sometimes not by choice.
Are they still alive?
Their whole lives.
Wow.
That's the point. Like, however long they live, right?
To the listeners, would you go your whole life?
I mean, there are actually cases in history where they claim that specific great minds may not have ever experienced sex in their lives.
I always thought like your sexual organs would fall off if you don't use them. Use it or lose it.
I would say it's not so much use it or lose it in the sense that it falls off, but use it or lose it in the sense that because you have absolutely zero familiarity with the sensation of having sex, you have also zero interest. Like, think about it. I like to point out to everyone that whenever they say, like, you know, I like to ask the question, how long do you think you can go without sex? And people will say, oh, I can go a few months. And then, you know, like mostly 90% females will say, I can go years. And then I'm like,
lies.
It doesn't matter how long you think you can go without sex. The fact is you've gone for the longest time without sex and you didn't even know it, which is that before you lost your virginity, you literally went for the first X years. Like, if you lost your virginity at freaking 20, that means you went 20 years without sex. And did you die? You didn't, because here you are.
Someone has ever had sex by choice.
What?
The earliest someone has ever had sex by choice.
I think it depends, but like given where we are,
when you're 5, like,
I mean, I know like the youngest woman to actually give birth was 9 in the Guinness Book of World Records, right? Like 9 or 8 years old.
Who impregnated her?
Probably someone her age. Hopefully someone her age, because like if it was someone who was 30, like that would be some seriously.
Because kids don't come.
Are you sure?
That should be on a t-shirt. Kids don't come.
No, but seriously speaking, we need to Google this. Like, at what age do boys start coming? I mean, I know the wet dreams thing, but like, at what age is a boy capable of coming? Would you say that, for example, a 10-year-old boy, despite having never had wet dreams or hit puberty, is just as capable of having an ejaculation as, say, a 25-year-old man?
I bet you someone has found out.
Let me Google it, you know? This is the beauty of it.
Put incognito though. You don't want to be caught by CS, like FBI or something.
They'll listen to the
like,
podcast.
When do young boys come? All of a sudden you hear a knock at the door, like, open up.
12 years old, guys start producing spermatozoa, or sperm for short.
So you can't
just start with that. At the onset of puberty. Puberty starts at different times for different people. Boys usually start puberty when they're around 10 or 12 years old. Okay, so then like a conservative estimate would be that the youngest a boy can come is 10 years old. So if the girl had sex at 9 years old, either she... What?
We start coming when girls are going. Because that's when they're like in the middle of puberty.
Reminds me of that, like, you remember we had like the same recommendation on YouTube the other day, and we kind of realized that female brains develop faster than male brains simply because women hit puberty earlier than men, and it's like a scientifically verified fact. So then if a girl at 9, because I know it's entirely possible for a girl to hit puberty at 9 and be reproductively fertile. So if a girl at 9 is giving birth, then either she had sex with a boy 10 years or older, or she had sex with someone who was way beyond puberty, and therefore this was totally child molestation, or pedophilia, if you will.
Yeah. Well, sex was not a choice for that 9-year-old, that's very sure. But for the rest of the civilization, I think.
Yeah. For most people, sex is a choice. For menstruation, girls just wake up one day and they're like,
oh shit,
there's a stain.
Ketchup on my bed.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like, we're saying this without so much carte blanche because we're not girls.
Yeah,
but like, you know, like, actually we have a girl in studio. Yeah.
A woman.
Like, would you agree that for most women, periods just come like unexpectedly. It's either like you suddenly get cramps or you suddenly see a stain that you've never seen before in your life.
Oh my God.
So we're gonna let her have the mic as soon as Jean untangles it from his
my crotch.
Because he was talking out his ass.
Yeah, exactly. I come when you're going. All right, let's
do this.
What is the question?
The question is because like
that?
Yeah, like do you ever have like oh my God, my period's about to come, or does it just come as a surprise to you as a woman? It's like one day you wake up and suddenly either you have like a weird stain or like you have this weird pain that you've never experienced before, etc., etc.
Well, I think for me, I can only talk about my experience.
It was that fateful day.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You just like, of course, you're gonna feel some bit of like
cramps.
Well, I don't have to talk about it, but yeah, it just happens. You don't know about it. It's not like, hello, I'm gonna come tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
It just happens. Just go and find like you've stained yourself or something. So you don't see it coming.
What is the initial reaction to when you notice like you're having a fit?
You don't see it coming sounds like a good slogan for premature ejaculators. Like,
actually, the whole
now
song
I'm coming, now I'm not.
This one, you never see me coming.
You never see Sake. 1 minute I'm, stroking, the next like, congratulations, you're a mother.
Well, I think like again speaking from my own experience, I think it wasn't really much of a shock. It's just like it's not that much of a surprise. I mean, it's a surprise because it came. You didn't see it coming, but you knew it was gonna come.
Right.
You've been taught. You've been told.
Right.
I don't know about the current generation because I feel like they start way early. For us, by the time we were starting, at least back then, you had been taught over and over and over.
So it was like you were mentally prepared.
Yes, it's just that there's that surprise because you didn't know it's gonna come at 11 a.m. on a random Tuesday, or like maybe on August or something.
Yeah.
There's that surprise, but it's not like, oh my God, what the hell is this? No, this is it. So when you see it, it's just like, so it's you, yeah.
I think this raises the question also of like parenting, like with parents and especially with most women. And I'd love to know in the comment section is it your mother that comes to you and says, okay, so these are what periods are, you should expect it? Or is it you went to like that one reproduction class in like class 6 or whatever the hell, and you were taught about this stuff and you're like, oh, okay, so I should totally expect my periods.
I have a random thought. Why are they called periods?
Because they're periodical. They go by like the lunar cycle. So it's like the moon. Has
nothing to do with the periodic table.
I have no response.
Technically, if a girl has her first period on the
periodic table definitely needs pads.
If a girl has her first period on the table,
because like
it's the periodic table.
Sometimes the elements are leaking into each other. Have you even noticed
like
that?
BL. OOD.
What do you mean?
Those are the chemical elements. Gold is like AU. So the period.
Like, you're about to.
How did we even get here? We were talking about periods being a choice.
We were talking about a whole politician having periods when she went into the National Assembly. And the idea here is that she was kicked out because she had a red stain, which is, like it's such a tricky topic because like when you're dealing with a member of the female species or whatever the hell you want to call
gender.
it.
I don't think it's a species.
It's a gender.
Yeah, it's not a species. I think there's only one species and there's only one race. There's only the human race. There's no black, white. Those are not races. Those are ethnicities. Just
true.
There's only one human race.
Arguably not, but true.
Well, some people would say females are different species. The whole fear women thing.
Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. Yeah. Remember when that was a bestseller, right? I mean, like racially, like I feel like racial division is so strong today compared to previous times. So like Africans consider themselves as distinct from, say, Europeans and Asians and whatnot.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Conversely, on Pornhub, the interracial category has gone up in viewership. So there's this like widespread distinction between people, but then in secret, people are actually consuming that because they're open to it. It's weird. It's this duality between.
My only problem with that on a philosophical level is if I would agree that the popularity of the interracial category is a reflection of our preferences as a society and what we secretly want.
Exactly.
I have a hard time also accepting the fact that stepmother, stepsister, stepfather, and other incestual porn
landlord
is also just as landlord isn't incestual.
I guess
like you're paying your bills. I can understand that on a practical level. You need to pay your bills. Everybody needs to pay their bills. Yeah, but like incest, like why are you having sex with your sister? Like that is also pretty popular. And I would love to believe that humanity as a whole is not just naturally incestuous.
But I mean, back in the times of our forefathers, they were having sex with their sisters. Maybe it's something that's ingrained in us. You see your sister came from the same vagina. It must be.
Why is it always like prefaced with step though?
Step is just to make it PC.
It's to make it safe.
Because you think about your sister, you're like, ugh.
It's like, oh yeah, you're fucking your sister. Like, no, I can't do that.
I
She's
can never
your
do
stepsister.
that.
Maybe. Is she hot? You know, like you start asking like qualified questions.
You have no relation to your stepsister.
Beyond the fact that your parents married each other.
I actually get where it's coming from because it's about the accessibility of sex. If your stepsister, you're living with her, but you have no blood relation to her. So that's like what we say, like the cow has brought itself to the slaughterhouse.
It's like free intimacy. It's like, hey, here's someone you can potentially mate with. I actually read this on a deeper philosophical level, like just getting serious with it without like joking about it. Is that for most males, especially modern males, the way they approach sex and flirtation, especially in a marketplace where women have like an inflated sense of value, is that they have fantasies of situations where they do not have to put in the effort to get sex. Exactly. And therefore, in their minds, the most probable way they can get sex in the sense that it's easy, it's provided for, it's even initiated by the other party is when they're dealing with someone they know. Exactly. So a stepsister, a step away sister, a stepmother, a stepfather, this jumps into women, but like mostly like the biggest audience for porn is men. Exactly. So it's really like a way to fantasize. It's a way to depict the fantasies of men with regards to how they acquire sex, which then is like like some meta level commentary on like the way market values are skewed between men and women in today's dating market.
So when it comes to sex in the marketplace, this whole idea of condoms being sold for free, and then
coming back to the story of
what would be the counter argument to why
the senator
out for free? Actually, let's ask our guest, like,
do you think condoms should be sold and menstruation pads should be for free?
I think the condoms should still remain or be given for free. But when it comes to menstrual pads, okay, I know I'm gonna get some backlash here because I'm a female, I'm going through it and all that. But I feel like
it's all good. We like BDSM. We can give us the backlashes. You can give us the front lashes.
The whips.
Whips. We want
the handcuffs.
The handcuffs. Tie us up.
Okay. On one hand, I feel like since it's we who go through like periods, it's a necessity. It's not like a luxury. We don't choose to have this thing. We don't.
It's just something that happens to you, and you have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it. So that's in that argument, it should be free. But at the same time, the different brands, you get like
right.
Whatever I use.
There's always there's like OB. There's like a whole range of stuff. Nice and Lovely and company.
I just want to comment about how effective the marketing is for like sanitary pads. Like I know the lyrics to the Always ads.
Stay happy, always. Always gives you wings.
I would want to try it out just for this. Always doesn't give you wings. That's different, bro. What have you been watching? What kind of bootleg TV have you been watching? Always gives you wings? What kind of periods are those?
They're winged periods. They're winged pads, aren't they? Always give you wings.
Well, so when you're arguing that way, I feel like they should be free, but at the same time, like in the essence of like it's a necessity, it's not a luxury. But I feel like the most reasonable solution here is especially now where we're in a world where we are embracing sustainability.
True.
I feel like the government should provide like these menstrual cups where you buy one and you're using it for life, or close to, or not for life.
Oh
like
yeah, there's that whole other argument. Just it's not just about whether menstrual pads should be free, but it's also about like what kind of menstrual products are you using. Are they tampons, menstrual pads, menstrual cups? Or like reusable menstrual pads. It's like there's a whole spectrum, right?
It should be all menstrual products. And I have an addition to what she was saying. Like there's actually initiatives around the world, like sprouting up around the world, where they try and build sustainable waste management systems. Sorry, having a Shustoff. So
yeah,
but they're trying.
This should stop.
This
is terrible behavior.
This is terrible behavior. That is why I bomb you. Russia was wrong.
Russians, take notes.
So yeah, they're using the waste from bananas, because bananas are like some of the most consumed fruits in the world.
True.
To create like sanitary pads, and it's happening even in Uganda and some parts of Southeast Asia.
Right.
There's opportunities for that, but then that's a very good point you brought up, that some women.
It's not just about like menstrual pads, it's just all menstrual products. It's like menstrual cups are reusable, rewashable. You could buy one menstrual cup and use it for X years.
Yeah. So like that's one of it, because like not a lot of women prefer using menstrual cups.
What is a menstrual cup?
It's like a small cup, like 15 ml thing that you insert inside your VJ.
Yeah.
And it's like you can stay with it, and it's healthy and it's sustainable.
Okay, so like basically,
people who are so uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, it's the way I like to describe it is that imagine a mushroom. Now imagine that mushroom upside down. So instead of bowing downwards, it bows upwards. It's like that's literally the shape of the uterus. So you like take it's made of rubber, you bend it, insert it into the vagina, and then it like balloons inside.
You know an awful lot about this, Ramsey.
I'm curious about an awful lot of things.
Wow. So yeah, like I was saying, that's one of it, because like when you buy it for someone, they're gonna use it for at least 10 years. And it's safe, it's proven it's
at
safe.
least.
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
Or that's when it's recommended. And that's just one of it. The government could also use for those who, because you can't go to a young girl and then tell the mom, you know what, I wanna give this young girl who's like 11 who started their period this menstrual cup to insert to her veggie. No parent is gonna be like okay with that shit.
It feels weird, like you wanted to put. I mean, like even tampons alone are a whole thing. So imagine.
So I'm just saying that's one
cups.
of it. If like people are okay with it, it could be one way. Also, the government could come up with these reusable pads where like you can wash them.
I'm not sure how a reusable pad works. Like in my head, it's so hard to wrap my head around. Like, what do you do? How do you wash it? Like, it's literally a freaking pad.
No, you just wash it the way you wash other things. You just like insert it, like you wrap it the way you wrap put on a pad, and then when you use it, when you're done, you just go soak it wherever you do, or however you do your laundry.
Right.
You don't have to soak it with other clothes or something, but I mean it's your blood, it's your whatever. I don't expect you to be so yuckish about it. So because the reason why we're saying menstrual pads should be free is because there are girls who are lacking.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like they shouldn't all be free, because even when they're free, it's like the way condoms are free, but some people choose to buy, right?
Yeah,
but
because
there's an argument to the fact that if they're made free, there could be an issue with quality, because there are like government issued condoms. And they're like the worst. You're talking about sure condoms.
Nobody I mean, let's just be honest here, and the users can the viewers can come from me in the comment section, but no self-respecting woman is gonna be like, sure, you can use sure condoms on me. They all want you to buy like premium condoms. Nobody wants free condoms from like some random bathroom.
Although in my experience, most women don't like condoms. That's an interesting thing. They don't like latex.
That's about the sensation.
Hello, super gonorrhea. How are you doing?
We had a whole episode on super gonorrhea and how so many people don't know they have gonorrhea. Like you watching this right now.
Yeah. Have you gotten yourself checked?
You probably don't know. I would go to the doctor if I were you. We did.
Do you need to pee? You might have Super G.
This is a whole punchline. Super G to the rescue.
But you're right, like the condoms that are given like at dispensaries, and then there's also like a potential moral or ethical issue, because at some point last year there was an issue where there was a shortage of condoms because people were trying to monetize the fact that they're given away for free. And I imagine
so people are selling Shure condoms out on these streets.
that's why there was a shortage in places like Bungoma where people love to have sex for some reason. Like I don't know why.
Well, they need to give birth to the next Jesus. Have you noticed how many Jesuses per capita?
Probably doing
We have more Jesuses per capita in Bungoma than we have anywhere else in the world. Yo.
Bungoma. Very interesting place.
Yeah.
Shoot an episode in Bungoma one of these days.
Banangoma kushuka ndio ngoma.
Boom.
Boom.
It's like
Ngoma.
boom, Goma. It's like some African place where we are going to do the Bungoma ritual.
The Bungoma.
Bend over.
Look, we have come up with the next Jesus, and then they hold him up Lion King style. You know, like nah, Kenya.
And it's
I'm sorry, man. We love you guys. We love you, Bungoma people.
So yeah, there was a shortage where people were actually they were taking a bunch more than they needed and then selling them to chemists who would then make a profit from nothing. So imagine if they did this with sanitary pads. A lot of girls would suffer because, like, let's say it's being distributed to a school.
Right.
They would have the corrupt teachers and head teachers or whoever, they would take them and then have them like monetize it.
This just opens up a can of worms. Now, the other thing to note here is also that like when you have like free stuff, because like we have a lot of free stuff around us. We have not free per se, but government provided stuff where there are no like traditional market incentives for like performance in terms of like giving a good product or like making sure you treat your customer well and so on. We have like electricity, which comes from the government. We have water, which comes from the government. We have like roads, which come from the government. And I'm sure we can all attest to the incredible quality of all of these utilities. Like you've never had electricity as great as public provided electricity, right? I'm being sarcastic right now. So now imagine if you put the government in charge of producing menstrual pads.
Oh, goodness.
How great!
That's what I'm saying. Like I think when you line it down or whatever, like to the ones that you buy, you know, the disposable ones.
Right.
That's why you're gonna be questioning the quality.
Right.
But if it's a cup. It's a cup. There's a way to make it. You get like there's standards to it. It's gonna be as effective as the other cup that is being sold out there.
Right.
So all they need to do is introduce them in schools where like these young girls when they're like 11 years or 9 or whatever age they start.
Right.
And you know you're being told that this is your cup. You know, you don't have to provide for them every year.
What's in my cup stays
in my cup. My cup.
My cup is...
I'll pour it in the toilets from time to time and wash my cup.
My
but
blood
otherwise,
is... Okay.
in my blood. Oh no!
I just had to. I'm sorry.
I think this is okay to show up on the podcast.
Yeah,
sure.
it's
we're shooting the shit, guys.
Yeah.
You know.
So if that proves to be so expensive,
yeah.
So if that is too expensive, because again, you know, with government stuff,
right?
If they say these things are gonna be free, they're gonna tax you guys, and then everyone is gonna be
exactly like there's nothing that is absolutely for free. If something is for free, and the government, you know, even if the government's like, you know what, we will get the best. Best quality menstrual cups. It just means that we're gonna pay more tax to you know, make sure all women are having comfortable periods.
Yeah, I just think like, okay, I don't know, but I was just saying like the most reasonable solution would be either they go through menstrual cups where you just give one and then for the next like 10 years that kid is sorted, or reusable pads, the one that you can wash, or they subsidize them, you know?
Right.
They put like menstrual pads are gonna be 50 always, no matter the economy of, okay, I don't know about that, but like you get like
it makes sense because like we subsidize so many other things.
Like
why not menstrual pads?
So affordable,
right,
for everyone. So if I choose to have the one that is costing maybe 500 a packet,
right,
it's me who's choosing.
You're the one.
Yeah, if a kid needs,
but there's a minimal. We would say there's like a minimum standard of quality that every girl is entitled to in the country.
You know what I'm thinking?
If you want to go above that, great. But there's a minimum where below which no girl is gonna every girl has to get at least this quality level.
You know what I'm thinking though? Like, these are such great ideas. Like, how do they come up with these motions? How do they come up with these goals? Do they actually talk to people and see what they actually need?
Don't think so. I think we talk to people because we're a podcast. But like the average MP, the average senator, the average MCA, the average name some other legislator or policymaker is not talking to enough people, or they're talking to the wrong people.
But I would love to know what people think in the comments.
Or they're not talking at all.
What do you think about this whole motion to pass, whether like it should be passed or not? Whether like
right.
Also, I forgot, there's something else. Like we said, like the way you guys asked me, was it a surprise? Let me tell you, it doesn't have to be the very start of it. Even when you're used to it, there are times when it gets you off guard. You're in CBD walking, and then you're like, okay, there's something going on down there.
Yeah, like I don't feel comfortable.
Public toilet, and actually, it surprised me. So it would be cool if public toilets, and the same way when you go to a restaurant, you find a toilet paper, it's free, you don't pay for it.
Right.
Maybe put there some few pads. I mean, no one will come and pick a pad.
That is so clever.
They're not using
that is so clever.
If I'm not on my period, I won't go there and then I find, there are pads here, let me collect some.
It's like, on the one hand, nobody is saying that we would provide free pads, that this would be all women would have to rely on.
Yeah.
But for freaking sake, like, let's say if you expected your period to come on Thursday and it comes on Wednesday instead, you should be able to find a free pad somewhere, just like you find free wet wipes or free toilet paper. It's and roping back to the conversation we're having about the senator, who almost got kicked out and then got reinstated later, is that she has a valid point here in the sense that, okay, fine, maybe it's the onus is on her to get pads, but then on the other hand, periods are something that it doesn't work necessarily like clockwork, and sometimes you cannot predict it. And just like you can walk into a random toilet and get toilet paper, you should be able to walk into a random toilet and get pads.
Yes.
If you're going to a presentation in the freaking Senate.
Yeah. So I feel like that's another way to
go
about it. Like,
right.
If you're not gonna provide for everyone, at least make it accessible. If I'm out there and then it surprises me, maybe not stop my shit and go back to, I don't know where I
Syokima or wherever.
I can just easily go to a washroom.
You came from freaking ends of the earth.
Fix myself.
I'm gonna go back to my origins.
I'm going back to my roots.
Now, just coming back to this whole topic, like the other thing that like really blew up the internet this week was Bing GPT. You know what Bing GPT is? It's Chat GPT, but on Bing.
Bing is like the worst. Oh, no, let's not take sides.
Well, not anymore though.
I mean,
not anymore. At this rate, with what they're doing, Google has some legitimate reasons to be afraid.
You know what? We're people of action. Let's put this to the test right now. Let's go to Bing versus Google. What do we Google? Just to test like how different it is. Have they implemented it yet, or is it supposed to be like something?
Okay, so I'm on Google right now.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage the Cowardly Dog Show.
Plugged in?
Okay, yeah, it's plugged in. So, okay, guys, so we just realized that we lost an hour of footage.
And that means we're going to have to do this as part 1 and part 2. We had a really interesting conversation that
about
we're gonna
Bing and
have to try and make the sound natural next time when we're talking about it, even though we let out all the great ideas.
Yeah, so like what we were touching on was there was a pastor that died of attempting a 40-day Jesus fast. You remember how in the Bible Jesus supposedly fasted for 40 days?
Wasn't it 40 days and 40 nights?
I'd never get the point of that because
is it possible?
I mean, a day is 24 hours. So what's this?
I think there are some loopholes in there. It's 40 days, 40 nights, but not the afternoons.
Or the evenings.
Yeah.
40 days, 40 nights,
He's
but you have like one meal every day between 6 and 7
like,
p.m.
No, nigga, I didn't say in the afternoon. What do you mean? Do I look crazy? Like, do I look like a magician?
Well, this pastor definitely didn't know about that loophole because this nigga
imagine what happened.
basically It was a she, right?
Ooh.
So she, in her efforts to push forward a bill, sorry. It was a he, right? So a pastor in Mozambique lost his life right in the middle of the conversation.
I was a she, now I'm a he. Now I'm a she again.
Because you said so.
Now I'm a we. Now I'm a we.
So a pastor in Mozambique lost his life after attempting to fast for 40 days like Jesus Christ did in the Bible. So this is Pastor Francisco Baraja, the founder of Santa Trinidade Evangelical Church. So he died at hospital after a diagnosis with acute anemia and failure of digestive organs. Now, I think anemia is definitely the kind of like illness that only gets revealed when you try an extreme fast. You know, like, have you ever tried something extreme and then you realize you had like some congenital disease that you didn't even know freaking existed?
There's no way to find out otherwise. Like, apart from that, there's no other way.
Like, how else do you know you have anemia?
Try to kill yourself, basically.
Exactly. So after 25 days without food or water, the 39-year-old had lost weight.
He was almost
and he couldn't
40.
even stand up. His relatives and followers took him to the hospital where he was hydrated with serum.
His team even gave up on him. Like, his followers were like, no, bro.
We need the doctor. Jesus is not enough.
Jesus has left the chat, bro. Jesus left a lot.
I would love to take you to the freaking cave on the mountaintop, but right now we need a doctor. We need someone who had a degree. Fuck you when you're fasting. We need a doctor right now. Why the hell are you freaking weak? I mean, let's also consider the fact that he went for freaking 25 days without
Was he drinking water though? I feel like that's an extreme
without
case.
food or water. With water, you know that you're going to the average survival span is like 2 weeks without water. The average survival span without food is like about a month.
I guess you could say he took one for the team. He was like, I need to test this to find
exactly.
out.
You're not only getting extremely hungry, you're forcing your body to like rely on its fat reserves, but you're also getting your body dehydrated in the process.
Here's the scary thing. If you observe, if you look at studies on long-term fasting, they say past a certain point, you don't even feel hungry anymore. So your body loses that natural inclination to tell you, hey, you need to eat to survive. So literally you could be dying and you don't know it.
I've seen something like this happen. I don't know about the sensation from an individual perspective, but I've seen something like this happen where you look at like those pictures of like survivors from say Auschwitz, like during World War II. Exactly, concentration camps. And generally just prisoners of war, because like they had like more food shortages, and these people were getting so freaking thin, but in the pictures they look so freaking jovial.
There's a guy called Angus Barbieri, or Agostino Angus Giuseppe A. Barbieri. Is like
sounds Italian.
Yeah, he was a Scottish man though. He probably drank.
But he was called Giuseppe.
He fasted for 382 days from June 1965 to 1966, but I believe that involved, he lived on tea, coffee, sparkling water, and milk.
He lived on something.
He had to live
is the point. This pastor lived on neither food nor water, and I expect if he was having no water, he certainly wasn't having any tea. Because how do you make tea without water?
I hate the fact that he's African, because that's another dumb of like dun dun dun.
It's like social Darwinism.
It's like the Africans are at it again. They can't.
Oh, they did this?
You try to Google like extra long fast.
Makes sense.
You put it in Google and then it brings
some African,
that guy, the Italian guy.
Like checks out.
He did it 382 days. Great. The African.
It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Wolf of Wall Street, where he's pointing at the screen like, oh yeah, that right there. I recognize that.
That is African ingenuity at its finest. But imagine how disappointing that is. Like, do you think people will go to his church still and like, that guy was lost? Like, there's no.
Well, his relatives and followers took him to the hospital where he was hydrated with serums.
They gave up on him.
And of course, liquid foods, but it was too late. So members of the church said it was common for them to fast, but not for that long.
Did he have
his
a wife?
brother, however rubbish, claims the pastor died from anemia and claimed he died from low blood pressure, not necessarily.
He's in denial. Hunger. He's gonna be next.
If he's gonna fast for that long.
I think he's gonna pretend that he's fasting. Like, I'm doing it still, but at home he's gorging himself on.
There's definitely a whole conversation here. It's just that I don't feel fully equipped for it. Like from a knowledge perspective, there's definitely a whole conversation to be had here about fanaticism.
Yeah,
and how generally like
you'd rather bend the truth than actually have your theory.
That's a cognitive dissonance thing.
Exactly.
Like where like you believe something so much that when you see conflicting evidence, you double down on what you believe rather than change your beliefs to reflect the truth.
The quote today, I think we can almost wrap it up with, is a quote that says, very famous, it says, stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and again.
And expecting a different result. And in such instances, we've seen cases of extreme, I would say, self-torture or self-deprivation in so many forms for religious causes, several times over several centuries with the same results. And yet, even today, you know, you're bound to go somewhere, some corner of the world where people are still engaging in these extreme forms of self-torture.
Definitely something to think about.
Right. Okay, we had like a whole bunch of other things to talk about, but you know, like guys, like we've been talking for so many times. This is part 1. We'll talk about more stuff in part 2. So yeah, this was ThinkShack, exploring memes to the extremes.
See you in part 2.